Originally, I was going to try to make a bunch of videos, and I care enough about the Galaxy S25 series to make a video. It's going to be long. It's going to be not poorly edited, but not anybody's best work. So, like I usually do, because I don't actually have the devices in hand, because I'm not sent stuff before the stuff is released. Really don't want to, because I don't want to review stuff. But it is nice seeing these devices through other people's eyes / opinions. So right now I have one, two, three, four videos open talking about the current Galaxy S25 series. If I am able to edit some stuff on the tail end, I will. But for the most part, let's just get started, and I'll edit what I feel like editing.
So Samsung launched the new S25 devices for this year. We have all the devices and I think all of the colors. And just a quick unboxing here. On the left, we have the S25 Ultras. In the middle, we have the S25 Pluses. And then on the right, the regular S25s. And these all start at 12 gigs of RAM this year. Pricing, at least in the US, remains the same as last year. Now, the device that's changed the most in terms of its physical shape compared to the previous generation is the S25 Ultra. And if you look at the S24 Ultra from last year, it still has the flat screen like we saw last year, but the corners, the edges, the frame of the device is just completely different. It's now a very flat device on the sides, and it's actually quite different from anything we've seen before on the Ultra lineup. They've always had rounded edges. Even last year it was like a flatter version, but like still quite rounded, and now it's just a completely flat device, very similar in design aesthetic to the regular S25 devices. I really like the way this new shape feels and looks. I think it's because I'm so used to flat edge phones over the past couple of years, but it's lost the iconic design. To me, the Ultra phones have always had this round shape, and it is a little strange to me that they got rid of it just to go to a more almost generic looking phone, but it does feel nice. Now, the S25 and S25 Plus didn't get any kind of design overhaul. They actually look very similar to last year's model. So if you compare it to the S24 here, they're quite difficult to distinguish. The big tell for me is just like the concentric rings around the lens. But aside from that, these are very, very similar in terms of the actual design. But underneath the hood, things are quite different. We'll get there in a second. So because of the new shape and design, the S25 Ultra actually has a different screen than the previous generation. This now has a more rounded corner on all of the edges of the screen, and it's just a larger screen, thinner bezels, and just a slightly larger panel. It didn't get any brighter. It still peaks at 2600 nits, and it's a very nice looking screen. It's QHD+, 120 Hz, and because it's an LTPO panel, it goes between 1 and 120 Hz when it needs. The S25 Ultra does get the new Gorilla Armor 2, which is just an improved glass surface compared to the model last year. So the S24 Ultra had regular Gorilla Armor 1, and it's just supposed to be more fracture resistant and less prone to damage on the new one. Now, it does look also that the kind of anti-reflective coating is different, like it's just throwing off a different hue if you look at that overhead light that I'm trying to reflect. Maybe it's a different oleophobic coating this year, and if you want to protect it, the new glass from D-Brand is really easy to install, but again, only the Ultra models get it. The regular S25, so this is just the Plus, you can see a very large difference in just how that overhead light is reflecting. And it is a very nice feature. It's something that isn't particularly new for this year, but every time I pull up one of these S25 or S Ultra devices, it's so obvious as to how nice that anti-reflective coating is. In terms of colors this year, the Ultras come in a titanium black, titanium gray, titanium silver blue, and then a titanium white silver. The two on the left have this natural colored titanium frame. It's kind of like a darker metal color, and then the two on the right have the lighter colored kind of white silver frame. But my favorite color of the bunch is by far the titanium, like the gray one. This is such a nice natural metal color to me. And then for the regular S25 and S25 Plus, we got silver shadow, mint, icy blue, and navy. Now on these particular models, the frame matches the color of the actual device just a little bit more closely. The mint in particular looks really nice to me. And then the navy blue looks really cool as well. Yeah. I really like the colors this year. And in terms of the internal hardware, the biggest change is going to be that chip. They're now running the Snapdragon 8 Elite chips with bigger vapor chambers this year for better cooling. And for my previous testing of that chip, it is fantastic. The biggest difference is just energy efficiency. The battery life across all of the devices I've tested with that chip are like a solid 25%. That's a conservative number, like closer to 30% improvement in just regular battery life testing compared to previous gen. And because Samsung didn't increase the battery size this year, the power efficiency of this chip is even more important.
And I'll probably mention it multiple times throughout this video. I mean, I'm already losing energy caring about this product. I hate, and it's happened plenty of times in the past where, the new chip comes out every year. And can you hear my energy? Like it's really down in the dumps because this just isn't an interesting product. But when I hear, reviewers give, whether it's, usually I'm complaining about Apple, but in this case, Samsung, like, oh, yes, they did not increase the battery capacity, but the new chip is more efficient. So that makes up for it. And it's like, well, how about you just do both? How about you put a higher capacity battery in it and the new chip? Kind of like what's going on in the OnePlus devices. So 5,000, yeah, it's not small, but it's been at 5,000 for a couple of years now. And there are smaller devices that have the same or similar capacity battery or similarly sized batteries in terms of capacity. And there are smaller phones that have higher capacity batteries. I don't really talk too much about the Plus. I mean, yeah, it's, that little, middle child, but, it's a good phone, I'm sure. I have purchased some of the smaller, regular S20. I think I started with a 21. I think I got a 22, a 23, and a 24. I don't use them as my primary device. I've either sold them or I think I actually had returned one because the gentleman said, phone, on eBay, and come to find out he had not finished paying for it. So I was not able to unlock it. Not that it was a big deal because it did work on my network, but I just said, hey, not being able to unlock it is one thing, but knowing that you're still paying for it is another thing. And what happens if you stop paying for it? Now I have a blacklisted phone, so I returned that. But 4,000 milliamp hours is just not enough for a phone of that size. And then, he might mention it later. I just feel like I need to say it right now because, yeah, like I said, I don't think I'm going to make it to the end of the video. But if I do, great. But in addition to these batteries not being that large, comparatively speaking, charging speeds aren't that fast. And, I have spent so much time complaining about Apple when I should have been giving a similar amount of attention to Samsung for the comparative garbage that they're producing. I mean, yes, the phones are fine. Okay, they are fine. But other phones are just better. And they are better either at the same price or at lower prices. And it's just like, hey, why would I go this way? And of course, the answer is, well, Samsung, Apple, and now even Google to some extent, like they're the companies that are always in your face. And because they're in your face, that's the one you're going to choose. And it's like, because they know they are the ones you're going to choose, they don't put much effort into their product. And, I'm just like, okay, great. So I'm not going to say that I won't buy an S25 because like I just mentioned, I bought most of the last several S series devices, but I will say that I don't use them for long. So I'll buy it, use it. Oh yeah, same phone as last year for the most part. Time to get rid of it. I mean, that's pretty much what happens. So anyway, let's continue, and hopefully I can care more.
Price. The battery size being still 5,000 milliamp hours on the Ultra is a little bit disappointing. There are phone brands out there that,
and I'm happy he shows this because it's just in your face right there. Are phones that are the same size or maybe a little bit smaller because I think now since the screen size is 5.9 inches, I forget the specs for the ones that are on the screen, but yeah, better, larger capacity batteries, and I guarantee you the charging speeds on all of those are faster than that of the S25 Ultra. Main issue, not including the OnePlus 13, which is available here in North America. The other two, yeah, I'm sure you can find them online to some extent, but they aren't going to be in your carrier stores. You're not going to see commercials for them. The only way you'll be exposed to them is, yes, you have to do your own research. You have to watch YouTube videos about them. So, yeah, these other companies, they are in places where there is competition, whereas here in North America, you have two companies really, that dominate the market, And then, yeah, other ones that, try to fill in the gaps.
Phones of similar size and form factor that are 6,000 milliamp hours or so it's just what I would like to see. I understand that it's Samsung, and at this point they're probably more conservative with like how much or how willing they are to pack their phones with batteries because of things that have happened in the past.
No. That was years ago. And in fact, I think that was the Galaxy S7, I think. Let's look that up. Galaxy S7. Okay, so if you remember, that was 9 years ago. I think that was the phone with it was blowing up. So 3,000 milliamp. So they've chosen to increase the size of the battery since the issue. And now to say that, they don't want to increase the battery capacity anymore because of what happened almost a decade ago. Absolutely not. I think it was the S7. I apologize if I'm looking at the wrong one, but I know it wasn't anything since they changed to calling the phone by since they started, naming the phones based off of the year that it was actually released, is what I was trying to say. So no, don't give me that. It's all simply because they have no competition in this country, so they have no reason to innovate. Heck yeah, he just showed a couple minutes ago other phone manufacturers, two of which are not operating here, one of which who does sell products here, larger capacity batteries. So no, just don't give them that pass. And I hate, because I've reamed Marquez Brownlee right here. Here's Mr. Who's the Boss. I've reamed him about battery talk, I guess we can call it that. And now here Dave, like, no, these are $1 billion / close to $1 trillion companies. They have very smart people to make sure what happened before doesn't happen again. Other manufacturers are doing the same thing, putting higher capacity batteries in their phones. So I hate when these YouTubers give these $1 billion companies passes. So no competition. That's why the battery size hasn't gotten any larger.
But it's still a fairly undersized battery. The camera hardware on the S25.
And thank you I'm happy that he admitted, yes, it is a undersized battery, yes.
And S25 Plus remain basically the same as the previous generation, but on the Ultra, there's a couple changes. The Ultra Wide now has a 50 megapixel sensor, and the device now supports shooting in log. So you can shoot just very flat footage that has a lot of light data, but then tweak it and adjust it in post. Now there is a camera feature that does seem to be removed from the new S25 Ultra, and it's with the S Pen. So the new S Pen supposedly, I saw some rumors about it, has Bluetooth disabled, or it's no longer a Bluetooth capable S Pen, which I wasn't able to confirm or deny it. It's just I was just trying to test it. This is the S24 Ultra here on the right, and just let me show you real quick. If you're familiar with the S Pen on the Galaxy Ultra devices, you can use the little button on the S Pen to take pictures. Like you can walk away and just if you want to take a selfie or a picture of the ceiling of the studio, you would be able to just press the button and take it. Like I'm pressing the S Pen side button and it just snaps a photo. And the idea is that you can be far away from your phone and just use it to take pictures. But on the new S25 Ultra, it doesn't work. It just, I don't know. So I think all of the air gestures and air actions that were the Bluetooth requiring features, they don't seem to exist on the S Pen anymore. Now, again, I can't confirm that this is or isn't a thing, but from my testing, it seems like it's gone. I don't think Bluetooth on the S Pen is super important for the average user, but I am surprised they removed it because I'm sure some people found it useful, but also it just feels like they're not gaining anything out of it. Why would Samsung even remove it in the first place? And I also tested it on several phones just to be like, is it a particular unit? But yeah, it seems to be gone. My cynical mind thinks maybe Samsung removed it, and this is crazy, but maybe they removed it to make it more attractive for people to have Samsung watches, but to do the remote shutter on cameras. That's crazy. There's no.
All right, so if you're interested in this Galaxy S25 Ultra, they've made it worse. They've taken a feature that, yes, it doesn't matter if 10% of their customers were using it. That's 10% of their probably loyal fan base who are now like, wait a minute, why would I upgrade to this device if they truly were somebody who took advantage of that feature. So yeah, they made it worse, and I would bet money that in a week or so, if not less, Jerry rigs everything, is going to get his hands on one of these, and he's going to disassemble the S Pen for the S25 Ultra and see that literally all of the hardware that's required for Bluetooth functionality to be enabled is in there. Samsung just decided to disable it. And to the point of what Dave is saying right now, and I hopefully will include it later on, is that, Samsung did put out a statement, I believe, saying that, yes, we took away the functionality of the S Pen. However, you can retain that functionality if you get a Galaxy Ring or a Galaxy Watch. So yeah, if you set your phone up and have a Galaxy Watch on, I think you can now control the shutter. Same thing maybe with the Ring. Like I don't have both sets of products to be able to test it, but to the point, it's business. They said, hey, let's make this product over here worse, but if you want to keep what we just took away, you got to go buy this other product over here. Now, I thought it was Dave that said it, and maybe I'll keep playing, and maybe he will say it. I don't remember, but somebody I feel said that the pins, so the pin for the S25 and the pin for the S24, are not identical. So therefore, if you have an S24, you can't just plug it into your S25 and then retain that functionality. So again, it all by design, made their product worse, made it so that you can't take something that you currently have, the pin from the S24, and just use it with the S25. Just not a good product at all. And from what Dave was saying about the battery, giving them a pass, saying that it might be crazy for Samsung to make their phone worse so that way you'd have to buy a watch, still kind of giving a pass based off of the cynicism that he has in his voice. It's all about money. No competition in this country, all about money. How much money can we squeeze out of our customers by making our products not as good as phones where there is competition in other places in the world, and pretty much just call us suckers and say, hey, here's something. Yeah, we half-assed it, but here's something. And because there's marginal changes, sometimes I'm just like, are people like working on these all year? Like now that this phone is out, do they start working on the S26? Is that too much time to allow for a product that really doesn't change that much? Like I know stuff is always in the pipeline, but it just doesn't seem like it's. And I'm sure probably at this point they're really working on like the S28 or something. So I'll take that statement back. But it just doesn't seem like there's really much change to warrant a new release every year.
But I just cannot wrap my head around any possible reason why they would do it. There's also this new case from Samsung that's a little bit interesting. You'll notice it has a ring in the middle. It's actually a ring of magnets, and it's called the MPP case. And this essentially gives it MagSafe charging capabilities. So if you have, this is actually a Samsung charger right here. It's it's made for Samsung, and it's MagSafe charge. Now, when you use this case specifically, you get Qi 2 wireless charging speed.
Now, even this case, which, I don't know, did Samsung make, I don't know, but however it's designed, and if it is Samsung, I'll continue talking, even if it's not, even though I am not a fan of wireless charging, because, wires are still involved, they just might not always be directly connected to the phone. When it comes to MagSafe, which, yes, I ranted back then, after, here's a little anecdote, after using a magnet on the back of my phone, not to charge, but just to have it up on a stand in my car while I'm driving, the one thing that I do like about, and can you see my mouse? Yes, you can. Yes, the circle, fine, makes sense. But one thing that MagSafe has is that additional magnet down here. And I don't know if that's part of the standard or what. I doubt that it is, but it just helps align everything properly. So even though I'm not using it to charge, if I had a phone or a case or something that gave me this circle plus the little line, what happens in my vehicle now is when I turn, my phone rotates. Because it's swiveling on a circle. So if I had this little line here, and for people who would be using it to charge, they need to put the little line. And that's like them saving, I don't know, a penny or something, and whoever made this case, it's like you didn't finish it. Yeah, you just flat out didn't finish it. Okay.
The most significant improvement to me for the S25 family is in the software. So OneUi 7 launches with these devices, but it's the AI features that are specific to the S25 devices that are really interesting. So last year we...
Okay. And anytime we get into software, I'm like, most of this can, or I'll say could, come to the older devices, because every year they talk about how powerful the new chip is. So last year's Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, they talked about how powerful it is, and both Samsung, well, Google uses a different chip, but Samsung has committed to 7 years of updates. So clearly that chip is powerful enough to do a bunch of stuff, when it was released and for the years to come. All the stuff he's about to say, which I may or may not include in my actual video, it's all software. So I'll say it now, and I'll probably say it at some other point just to try to really hammer it home, is because these phones are released annually, and there's a new version of the, whether it's iOS or Android every year, we have to make it seem like these things are one and the same. That, oh, well, this year, this phone can do this. And it's like, well, you'll talk about, the hardware of the phone in terms of its form factor. You'll talk about the screen. You might talk about the battery. You might talk about the charging. And then, yes, when you get to the chip, you're like, okay, the chip is powerful. So, but then, and then you'll say, okay, because of this chip, we can do all of these things. So then it's like, okay, so you're telling me that next year, the chip that I have today won't be able to do any of the things that next year's chip can do? Like this chip, that I have, that I paid, I think, $1,300 for, is going to be useless in a year. So they have to just feed us garbage. And, I have definitely, I guess, fallen victim to it, because earlier in the years of iOS and Android, it was, new stuff every year. You're really like new hardware year over year, like real improvements. Where now it's like, I'm not going to say we've reached peak smartphone. Not going to say that, but I will say I don't think they need to release phones every year, because the differences aren't big enough to warrant it, especially with the big companies here. So, let's see what's new software is available. And again, OneUi 7 is not only available on the Galaxy S25. Okay, it's going to be on the S24, S23, S22, probably S21. I don't remember how many years of support they committed for some of those older devices. But most of what he's going to talk about is going to be available on other devices, on older devices, I should say. And if a manufacturer, Samsung, Apple, Google, Asus, Sony, whoever, if they choose to lock some of these software features behind an age gate, meaning, oh, this phone is too old to support this portion of this software, then that's the company just trying to screw you over. Now, maybe a phone that's 5 or 6 years old, some of this AI stuff, for the things that are done locally, probably can't do it. But even when we were talking about, and I'm sorry for going off topic here, but talking about the Pixel 8, the Pixel 8 Pro, it's like, oh, well, the Pixel 8 Pro has more RAM, and it has the same SoC, so it's like, well, you can't really say that's a difference, but more RAM. But then you find out that a lot of that stuff, whether it's AI that they came up with last year, or some of the photo editing, like Video Boost, which I guess includes or incorporates some AI, you find out a lot of this stuff is done up in the cloud anyway. So it's like, well, really, it doesn't matter what hardware I have if you're going to take it and then send that information to some of your data centers. I should be able to do this on, a Pixel 6, a Pixel 7, a Pixel 4. If I take a picture, I want to use Video Boost. Okay, and Video Boost is a part of Google Photos. Cool. Even if you put it behind a paywall, it's like, all right, cool, I pay for it. I have this old phone. Let me record my videos and let me send it to your service to make it better. But so it's all software. It has nothing to do with the fact that this is a phone that was released a couple of days ago.
A bunch of stuff launched with the S24 family, and like Circle to Search, and those were neat features, but none of them felt particularly impressive to me. This year on the S25 devices, they have something really neat. It's essentially multi-step Gemini/Samsung integration.
Find a pet-friendly Italian restaurant with outdoor seating nearby, and text it to Luca.
So they've built a 2-step AI assistant. You can get.
Okay, and I'm gonna let him keep talking, but I will never be a businessman, I guess, I will never, I guess, want to, and maybe they actually believe in this stuff. Like even in this simple example, this young lady is talking to her phone. Find an Italian restaurant that's pet friendly, that's close by. Okay, what happens if Google finds 5 of them? Which one is it going to text to her friend? Is it going to text all 5 of them? And before I can continue talking, I forget exactly what the rest of this looks like. But let's finish.
Find some info and then do something.
Okay, so yeah, here is one pet-friendly restaurant nearby with outdoor seating. But what if there are multiple ones? Do you then have to choose? Do you scroll and choose? Because if you want to do that, you might as well just Google it yourself. I just don't understand if they actually think this is good. And I understand, the cross-app stuff, because you're Googling something and then you're opening messages, and but then also using Google Maps because it's using your locations, but it's incomplete.
That info.
Yep. Again, found one. It's showing you one. It might have found multiple, and you, the user, are you supposed to then start digging to see if there are other ones available? Or, modify. And if you modify, what are your options if you modify? Does that bring up the other result that it might have found? Or is that just saying, hey, let me edit the text? Like, this is not a complete product.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to capture the footage of me testing this stuff, but this is what I asked it. The first thing I said was, if it's snowing tonight, adjust my alarm and wake me up 30 minutes earlier. And it checked. It said it wasn't snowing, so it wouldn't adjust my alarm.
Cool. Or, okay. I would feel comfortable just looking at the weather myself and then making that adjustment if necessary. But also, what if the forecast is wrong? And what if whether it says, what if the forecast is wrong? So I'm not comfortable leaving that to Gemini.
Second thing I asked it was, how far away am I from the airport? And if it's more than 10 minutes, message Jenny, or my wife, and tell her that I'm going to be late. And it did it. And
okay.
The thing I did was check the Raptors schedule, one of the next 3 games, and add those to my calendar. During my tests with the pre-release software, it didn't work 100% reliably every time, but I'm so impressed by how often it does work, and when it does, it almost feels so much more advanced than I thought that we would be when it comes to phone AI assistants. I think...
And again, I'm not impressed, but at the same time, I guess it's cool. But as I was saying before when I went on my little rant, what he's talking about is not unique to the S25 series. Most, if not all of this, will come to at least last year's phone. Again, if Samsung doesn't choose to age gate it. But I'm just not impressed. And as I said a few moments ago, instead of saying, hey, let's release a phone every year. If there are software improvements every year that warrant maybe some type of keynote, which Google does, and I didn't watch the Samsung Unpacked event, so I don't remember everything. Well, I don't know everything they talked about, but if there are software improvements, then hey, let's focus on that and say, your existing hardware will run this. Now, will that keep people from upgrading phone? I doubt it, because if the S24 is on sale for 2 years as the main device or the flagship top tier device, then people who need a phone will still buy it. Maybe they might have to reduce the price a little bit, but I don't know. So again, all this just is software talk.
Because this feature genuinely feels like something most people would use, because it saves you a significant amount of time and just clicks and taps on your phone to be able to do 2 different things that would normally take 30, 40, sometimes 60 seconds to complete. It's done in an 8-second voice prompt. Now,
again, I just don't trust it to be as accurate as it needs to be.
I think all of those new AI features are currently launching on the S25 family first. I imagine that they'll go to the older devices in due time, at least the ones that are capable of it. I just found this feature so much more impressive than any of the AI features we've seen on phones thus far. It's just the ability to actually do things that you would normally do in multiple steps in one voice prompt. I found that so cool. Okay, there you have it. That's the new S25 lineup. I'll be doing a review on the Ultra very soon.
Everybody is.
And sorry, this is the next video, but I'll make another video. I didn't expect this one to be 30 minutes. Actually, I did. But anyway, yeah, software, I think he said he's going to do a review just on the Ultras. Yeah, do the review on the phone that's the most expensive one. Cool, whatever. I'm not impressed. So that's the end of this video. Hopefully I'll have more energy in my next one.